Okay, so we are here together today with Dr. David Drake and Tanya Dotson-Winckler from 180 Degree Time Management. And David is a client, and he also is a getting things done aficionado. So GTD. So we were talking at one point about what's the difference, and then David agreed to come on here and give a little bit about side-by-side comparison. So David, you were happily using getting things done for how long?
I think I started shortly after the first book came out, so around 2004.
Okay, great. And what in particular did it help you with?
I think the key strengths of getting things done at GTD are the 5 phases that David Allen talks about, particularly the first few phases. And the number one is capturing everything. And so we get so much stuff thrown at us, so much information. All right. And one of his favorite phrases, which I like, he says, the mind is a crappy office.
Yeah.
And it is, and you can't keep things in your mind. You can't use your mind. Your brain wasn't designed that way.
Agreed.
And so you need to get things out of your head into some kind of a system so that you don't have to think about it as much anymore. And so that's key to me, because I get 100 emails a day. I get just constant input, and I ask questions. Every time I see something, I ask, well, what is this? What does this mean to me? What do I need to do about it? And now an important thing that it's not part of GTD, but I do, and I got this from 180 Degree Time, is when am I going to do it?
Aha, very good. David, can you introduce yourself? Because I forgot to, because I know you. Can you just give a little bit of background about what you do and why it's so important that you have time management systems that absolutely work time and time again?
So I'm a professor of microbiology and infectious diseases at the University of Iowa. I'm in the Iowa Institute for Oral Health Research. I specialize in development of the oral microbiome. Wow. And so I'm a senior faculty member. I've been a professor here now for 31 years.
Wow.
And I've had a number of leadership roles, not only in the college, but also the university at large, and also nationally. And I currently sit on one organization's board. So as a result of all of this and my research, which I have NIH funding to do, and my entire research group, so my lab with graduate students, postdocs, and so forth, it's a lot of things to keep track of.
Absolutely.
So that's why I have to, all this input, what do I do with it?
Right, and you have to write grant applications and all of that on time and to get funded. Got that. So I wanted to ask you, so you said it changed your habits as far as capturing things. So in a previous interview, you had said that when you heard about 180 degree time management, it sounded completely different to you. How so?
I think the key thing that people have to realize, the strengths of GTD, and at least for me, was the capturing, the collecting, organizing phases. Again, identifying all this stuff and what to do about it. And not keeping 10,000 unopened emails in my inbox. But one of the things that I found in GTD that didn't work real well for me is these incredibly growing, monstrous lists of things to do. And one of the things that David teaches, and it works for a lot of people, if you're that kind of a person, that's great. But you would just see these lists grow and grow and grow. And the idea was as well, when you have discretionary time, whatever that means, that you can then choose what to do.
Right.
And so you're looking at these long lists, and maybe you got them separated by context of where you are or what kind of tools you have or whatever, but they're still incredibly long. And so trying to decide what to do from moment to moment, to me, was exhausting.
Got it.
And so I realized that I felt like I was losing ground. I would get 10 things done and I'd add 25 things more to my list, because it's easy to add to a list. It just keeps growing. And so and I'm digital, so I have a digital system, and so boy, it's really easy to add it to the list.
Yeah, I got that. That's really great. Thank you for distinguishing that. So let me ask you, what happened after your 180-degree program? Like, what habit changed the most for you?
I think the key thing is making sure I had the identifier in there about when I was going to do things, and that these long lists weren't working so well with me. And this is not uncommon. I see this in forums all the time where people say, well, how do I address these long lists? I create small focus lists or whatever. It's just a Band-Aid on the problem. And I realized with so many multiple responsibilities and things I have to take care of, there's only so many hours in the day.
Right.
And so I realized, to me now, my primary tool as a result of the 180-degree time management is my calendar. And I block time for different kinds of things, and that's when I do them. And if I look at my week and I got new stuff coming in, and then I've already got all the commitments, it's not going to get done that week.
Right.
And I can very easily tell people, it's like, well, I can get to this, but it's going to be next, week from now, because I'm already committed to these other things. Before, I would just say, oh yeah, I can do that. I'll just add it to my list.
Right. All right. Very good. Thank you very much, because that's one of the basic things about the 180-degree time management. We do not do lists, as you found out. So would you say that your habits changed while you were doing the 8-week seminar and afterwards? Were there things that happened along the way that were helpful?
I think during the program and then afterwards, embellishing and using everything from the program, realizing that I can't do everything. I shouldn't try to do everything. And I have to do the things that are most important to me, both professionally and personally. That's and right. I said this in one of our previous video, that you cannot ignore the personal component, and that's just as important to me as my professional component. And so to make sure I've got time blocked out for professional stuff, but also personal. And
so you block time for personal things now,
absolutely,
as opposed to trying to squeeze it in or hoping it's going to happen. That's really great. Yep. So David, how long ago was that? I remember, I think you took the course in the beginning of last year, beginning of 18, or was it the end of 17?
I think it was the beginning of 18.
Beginning of 18. So would you say that this program is sustainable?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's sustainable. When I make statements about GTD being a very important part, and I'm primarily focusing on the whole thing I've learned about capturing and organizing, and not just letting things, I've got colleagues that keep thousands of unopened emails in their inbox, and they'll look at them or whatever, and then they'll just ignore it. Right. And as a result of that, now it's working constantly on their mind.
Right.
All those problems and issues in their inbox. And I was like, well, why don't you process that and take care of it?
Right.
And decide when you're going to do that.
Right.
If you can do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that is really, really great that you said that. So that brings me to my final question, which is, why recommend 180-degree time management if you already have GTD? Sorry, not GTD, GTD.
Yeah, I think a key difference is 180-degree time management is that it addresses root behaviors. Mm-hmm. It's the psychology behind why you do what you do. Why have you made these kinds of choices? I learned early on, like, well, why do I feel like I need to say yes to everything? Mm-hmm. Why is that? And in the program, I found out these were behaviors that became ingrained at a very early age. Mm-hmm. To prove myself, to show that I'm worthy or I'm smart or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they've just been with me. I've always got to say yes because that makes me feel important. Mm-hmm. And if I feel important, other people will think I'm important.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's a behavioral change. It's not a Band-Aid, if you just make one more list, or if you do one more little tip or trick, it'll make you more effective. It's not about being effective. It's about being in charge of your life and doing the right things.
Brilliant. It's about being in charge of your life and doing the right things, not being effective. I love that. David, thank you so much for coming on again with me and to distinguish the difference between the two. And we'll see you in our group productivity breakthrough as usual. Thank you guys so much for listening. This is Tanya Dotson-Winckler from 180 Degree Time Management. Thanks.